YouTube, what's going on? Welcome in, baby. In today's video, we're gonna be doing a complete guide to the Jinn in 2023 for Phasmophobia. We're gonna be going over its special abilities, and the one special ability that it does have that's an instant giveaway that you do have the Jinn or Mimic, if you got the Mimic. But nonetheless, let's dive into the video. If you like it, hit that like button, baby. Also, hit me with that subscribe, baby. Come on, right down there. It's free of charge, all right? Hit that subscribe if you can, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. All right, to start it off, we're gonna go over hunting sanity. Very short and sweet, straight to the point, baby. 50% sanity, that's what the Jinn can start hunting you at. All right, gang, let's go ahead and dive into the journal section for the Jinn. A Jinn is a territorial ghost that will attack when threatened. It also has been known to be able to travel at significant speeds, which is completely true in practice. That's not flavor text at all. That is completely true, but a few conditions have to be met in order for the Jinn to be able to travel at these significant speeds, which we will be getting into a little bit later on in this guide. So for the strength, a Jinn will travel at a faster speed if its victim is far away, which references what we just went over a little bit in that above sentence. But its weakness is that turning off the location's power source, or the breaker, will prevent the Jinn from using its ability, which is a double-edged sword because yes, it does prevent the Jinn from using this speed ability, but also that leaves you almost blind in the house if you don't have any candles, flashlights, etc. So for the evidence, it's going to be EMF 5, fingerprints, and freezing temperatures, baby. Let's get into these special abilities. All right, so the Jinn has a special ability to where it can drain 25% sanity from all players that are either within the same room as it or from all players that are within a 3-meter radius of it. Now, when this happens, it's going to leave an EMF 2 or 5 reading at the breaker. So to test for this, leave an EMF reader that's turned on at the breaker, and while you're investigating, if you notice you hear a faint distant EMF reading going off and you know it's that EMF reader that you placed by the breaker going off, you more than likely have the Jinn. Now keep in mind, the Jinn can only use its ability if the power is turned on. So if the power is turned off, you don't have to worry about this, and also the test will never work if the power is turned off. So if you want to test for the Jinn this way, make sure you turn the power on and leave that EMF reader by the breaker. I got some examples here for you guys. I hope this helps you. Alright, so if that EMF reading happens, that's the ability being used, and that's what you want to look out for if you just lost 25% sanity. Alright, so keep in mind that this EMF reading has to be completely random. This can be easily misinterpreted by the door to the breaker actually being touched or interacted with by the ghost. If this does happen, that is not the Jinn's ability being used. Again, it has to be a completely random EMF reading. I got a clip here how this can be very easily misinterpreted, but just keep in mind, it has to be a completely random EMF. All right, so for one of the other abilities the Jinn possesses is that it does not turn off the breaker. It's the only ghost in the game that cannot turn the breaker off. Now, what can happen is that you or your teammates can overload the breaker accidentally and turn it off that way by turning on too many light switches in the house. Now, this is easily missable and you may not realize you do it. I know I do it a lot as well sometimes, but please keep in mind that this could mislead you to another ghost but the Jinn. So I do have a clip of what this looks like, but keep in mind, this is the only ghost in the game that cannot turn the breaker off. Check out this clip. Okay, so as you can tell, I did just overload the breaker. I did this intentionally, of course, obviously for the sake of the video, but that's what it does look like when you overload the breaker. The moment you turn that light switch off, the power shuts off, and sometimes you can miss this and may think that this is another ghost, but the Jinn. So keep in mind, the Jinn cannot turn the power off directly, and keep in mind how many lights you do have turned on in the house. Alright, so for the Jinn's next ability is that it can speed up to a player once it acquires line of sight of that player. Now for this to happen, the breaker has to be turned on, which is part of the reason why the Jinn does not have the ability to turn the breaker off, because then essentially it would just be disabling its own special ability to speed up to a player once it gets line of sight. So if you notice this happen, you're either going to have a Jinn or you're going to have a mimic that's mimicking a Jinn. Now this can be easily misinterpreted with the Revenant's ability to speed up to a player once it gains line of sight. Now the difference between the Jinn and the Revenant on this ability is that the Revenant will be crawling, not physically, but crawling at a snail's pace. It will be very slow walking around the house. If you hear that, that's the Revenant. It's not the Jinn. So once the Jinn gets line of sight of you and the power's on, it will speed up to you. Check out this clip that I got here for you guys. Alright, so those two speed tests were done with the breaker on. That is the Jinn's ability being used to where it can speed up to you once it gains line of sight. Now this next test is going to be the same thing, same exact spot in the house, but with the breaker off. Audibly listen to the difference. I have the music muted intentionally so that way y'all can really dial into these footsteps and listen to the change of pace on the first two tests to now the third test, which I'm about to show y'all, where the Jinn is going to be a normal speed walking to you. Check this out. Alright, so really quick, before we end the video, because this is starting to approach the end of the guide, I do want to put up on screen a speed comparison of the Jinn with the breaker on, and the speed of the Jinn with the breaker off, both when it gains line of sight of you. So really quick, I'm going to replay a couple clips here for you guys, and hopefully this does help y'all differentiate between the speed of the Jinn with the breaker on and the breaker off. Alright y'all, that's going to be the end of my official ghost guide for the Jinn in 2023. I hope you enjoyed, and most importantly of all, I do hope that you learned something from the video. If you did, drop it down below in the comments. I'd love to read about what you guys picked up from this video. If you do want to check out my stream, I stream on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I obviously stream a ton of Phasmophobia. Link's going to be down below in the description for that. If you liked the video, hit me with that like. Hit me with that subscribe, baby. I would much greatly appreciate it. And I'll be seeing y'all in the next video. Y'all have a great day.